Okay, good evening everyone. Can you please raise your hands if you are able to hear me well? Okay, great. Thank you so much. And welcome to this webinar, BABOK 3 Demystified series. And today we are going to cover the BPM perspective. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank all the office bearers of IIBA Chennai chapter who have been doing a fantastic work of bringing these webinar series to you. It is a great effort of building this community and building the knowledge that we need as a business analyst. So I would like to thank them. And all of you know that IIBA Chennai chapter was awarded the best chapter award in Region 3 last year. So thank you so much for making that happen. You are contributor to that because you attend these webinars and that motivates us to bring those webinars to you. So thank you for all that support. Those of you who are not a member of IIBA Chennai chapter, I would like to urge that you become a member of IIBA chapter. The fees is just 500 rupees per year, and it gives you an opportunity to earn the CDUs that you need for maintaining your CBAP or CCBA that you have. Otherwise, this is a great resource for building the knowledge. Okay, so let's get started the webinar, the BPM perspective. So what we are going to cover in next 45 minutes or so is first of all demystify that BABOK 3.0. What is BABOK 3.0? What are those tasks that business analysts need to do? What do you mean by perspective, or what does the IIBA mean by perspective? And then we will go to what is really BPM, business process management, what it is, and therefore then what is BPM perspective in business analysis, and how the business analysis performed in BPM. And ultimately I'll take then questions and answers. So that's what we are going to do. So first of all, the BABOK 3.0. Okay. The BABOK 3.0 structure is like this. So you have all these blue boxes that you see. They are called the knowledge areas. Okay. And knowledge area is nothing but this title, and inside the knowledge areas you will have the task. The tasks are the activities that are performed by business analyst. And the task, like any process, they actually have an input and they produce an output. If you see the inner circle, actually, strategy analysis is all about analyzing the business need in the light of strategic or tactical importance. So defining that business need, identifying what are the gaps in the capabilities, what solutions need to be developed to fill that particular need. So generate those solution options, develop the business case. So those are the kind of tasks that are performed in strategy analysis. This is all about identifying and defining the business need. And then you have requirements analysis and design definition. So basically these business needs and the requirements, they need to be analyzed in terms of what are the features and functions that the solution must possess, so that those solutions ultimately can meet the business needs. Also, actually, this now includes the design definition, means how that solution will be delivered, how this solution will be put together that will meet the business need. And solution evaluation, it is all about evaluating the solution. So this solution could come actually through the requirements analysis, and those requirements will be fulfilled through that solution, or solution could be available in the market like commercial off the shelf packages, COTS packages, and we need to see how well they meet the business need, so how well they meet the strategic or tactical need of the organization. And you have elicitation and collaboration, which is a knowledge area that is all about eliciting the requirements. So extracting the information from the stakeholders and with the stakeholders and from other sources where the requirements can exist. So this is all about planning and preparing for those requirements, conducting elicitation activities. It is all about using those elicitation methods and techniques to extract those requirements, and collaborating with the stakeholders to fulfill those requirements through a solution. On the other side, you see requirements lifecycle management. It is all about actually managing the change in the requirement throughout the life cycle of the initiative that we have undertaken. So it starts from initiation, it starts from the beginning, and it starts till the end, where you are basically realizing the benefits out of this initiative. So it is all about managing the requirement throughout the life cycle. And on the top, you see the business analysis, planning and monitoring, which is all about actually planning these activities that we have discussed. So what are the techniques that we are going to use, with which stakeholder we will use these techniques, how that communication will happen, all those activities related to business analysis planning, they are done over here. And the next topic is actually business analysis monitoring. When we make this plan, ultimately we need to really also track this plan, that we are making the progress as per the plan, and need to make any changes into our methodologies. So this is all about the business analysis body of knowledge version 3.0 structure. These are the knowledge areas that help us deliver the solutions to the business needs. So it is all about, identifying that business need and ensuring the benefits are realized. Okay. These are the activities that are performed by the business analyst. So business analysts perform all these activities which are under the knowledge areas. This is what business analysts do. And the perspective are the new addition in BABOK 3.0. And perspective acts like a lens actually. They provide a focus to the task and techniques that are specific to that context of the initiative. Perspective are not mutually exclusive. So there are various perspectives that I'm going to cover. And these perspectives are not mutually exclusive. It means that you can have a project where multiple perspectives are applicable. Perspective move the discussion from what BAs do to how the BA work is done. That's very important to understand. The structure that I have explained is all about what the BA do. However, in different perspective, how the business analysis need to be performed is different. And that's what is all about perspective. And perspective that are included in BABOK are these 5. Agile perspective, business intelligence perspective, information technology perspective, business architecture, and business process management. And business process management is the topic for today's webinar, right? So initially you saw actually what the business analysts do and how these knowledge areas are related to each other, right? And now we will see how the business analysis work will be done in business process management. Means how all those tasks under the knowledge areas will be executed while you are doing the business process management. Your initiative actually involves BPM. So that's what is the perspective, and therefore we are going to learn how that work will be done. So let's understand first of all the business process management. And this is the definition of business process management. Business process management is a management practice. Okay, it is a management practice. Management is all about managing the change. It is all about actually ensuring that the value is delivered to the customer. It is all about actually solving the problem or taking advantage of an opportunity. So it is a management practice that provides for governance of business's process environment. So that's the definition of the business process management. It is a management practice. Also, there is another definition. It is a systematic approach to making an organization's workflow more effective, more efficient, more capable of adapting. So it is a systematic approach. Means what steps do you take actually? What is the methodology that you use to make changes to the business processes? So business process management is a systematic approach. BPM also determined how manual or automated processes will be created, modified, cancelled, governed, all those kind of things, right? So that's all about that's about the business process management. And business process management is more than the business workflow. It is much more than that actually. It's all about process improvement. It is all about actually continuously improving the processes to deliver that business efficiency. It's all about managing the performance of the processes, the enterprise processes together so that the enterprise goal is met. It is all about optimizing those processes continuously. It is all about actually the the digitization of that process if your organization is involved in digital transformation. It is all about analysis and design of the processes. So all those things need to be considered while we talk about the business process management. And business process management is an ongoing activity. It is not one-time activity. All right, processes need to be all the time adjusted to business realities, and processes can be made accountable for the business operations. So therefore, actually, it is not one time. It needs to be used all the time. And business process management or process analyst, so BPM professionals or process analyst need to know and understand what is the reason for doing the BPM work. You know, what is the trigger? Because it is actually an event driven, and that event or that objective has to be met. Therefore, as a business analyst or process analyst, you know, we need to be comfortable, we need to be familiar with all the techniques that we use while performing the process analysis and process design, process optimization, all that. So let us understand how the BPM works, right? So BPM typically has a cycle. So like for everything, actually BPM as well has a trigger. Trigger is a business need, right? So this is a business need. Trigger is a business need. It is either a problem or an opportunity, right? So there is a trigger with which the BPM starts. And after that trigger, so, you know, this analysis of the business need is part of strategy analysis, and that's where actually the analysis of trigger will also go. So it starts with analyzing. You know, this is all about strategy analysis. It is all about analyzing the processes in the light of this trigger. Okay. And once this analysis is done, actually there is a iterative and repeatable process. So when you are analyzing this, actually probably you are also designing how the new process should work, right? So, you know, the process need to be designed to overcome that problem or an opportunity, taking advantage of that opportunity. So this is all about the new process, design of the process. And the process need to be modeled so that it can be shared with everyone, right? So so process need to be modeled, and as you know, modeling is a language, right? So modeling, so you use various modeling concepts and modeling language so that everyone can read, interpret those processes the same way. So processes need to be modeled, and then processes are executed by people. People follow those processes, execute those processes, and therefore we need to monitor how these processes are performing and how the business is performed using these processes. So you monitor those processes and ultimately optimize those processes. So identify actually what worked, what did not work, and optimize those processes. So this is a cyclical process that happens in the process. And that's what actually the process is, something that is done repeatedly and iteratively. It is not actually a one-time activity. Okay, so that is the business process management. And what I have done in this chart, actually, I would like to introduce you to a step-by-step process, of modeling these processes and doing the business process management. So first of all, as a business analyst, we need to understand the concept, the context. We need to understand what this initiative all about, right? So we need to actually discover. We need to discover those stakeholders. We need to discover the processes. We need to discover the context. So first thing is actually put the processes in context, right? What these processes are about. Who are the stakeholders that use that processes, right? And for that, we use the techniques, like value chain or business process analysis, cross-functional models, right? So we can use multiple techniques over there. Also, then we need to define the scope. What are the parts of the processes that are in scope, which processes in scope, which processes out of scope, and we can use scope diagrams. And then something called SIPOC, which stands for supplier, input, process, output, customer. So you have the process, which is in the middle, right? So you have the process. What is the output that the process produces? And for that output, what is the input that the process will require? So, put process first, and then you can put output and input. And then who supplies that input, because input need to come from somewhere, right? So S is for supplier, who supplies the inputs, and then customer. Ultimately, someone will be using this output. So who is that customer who uses that output? So this is a SIPOC chart that can be created for those processes that are in scope. Yeah. So this is a great framework, and actually it helps you define the processes, the SIPOC. And the processes could have the exceptions and alternate paths, right? So there will be, so this is coming from use case modeling terminology. So those of you who are aware about the use cases, you know that use cases have a happy path, a normal path that is taken, that is a successful path. So that is one, and then you have alternate paths and exception paths. So with alternate paths and exception path, we can create those variations in the list. So we create those variations, the alternate paths, they are variations. Okay. And then we need to actually map the process. We need to model these processes. Okay, so need to create those swim lane or process maps, activity diagram, use case narratives, as I was talking about this variation list, use case narratives. So these are the techniques that can be used. And then we can map the alternate paths. And then the other thing is a process without data is incomplete. And therefore, we need to also map the data that the processes need to execute effectively. So then map the data that is required to support the processes, and this is all about showing those handoffs, putting the details on the data models about the processes. And then we need to balance the data and the processes. So create those state diagrams, state charts, state transition diagrams, the CRUD metrics, or also called interaction metrics, right? So all those techniques can be used for doing the process analysis, modeling, design, optimization. So all these processes need to be used, can be used. And this is basically starting from a high level and going till the detailed requirements and design level. Actually, these are all the requirements for the processes. So you see, this is little different than other the business analysis activities, and this is what perspective all about. It actually explains what how the business analysis work will be performed in a BPM perspective, right? So this is a simplified version of all the knowledge areas that I have described, and coming to this. To describe this further, actually, we can use that functional decomposition, a very famous technique that we as business analysts do, and we can create actually process architecture model using the functional decomposition. So, in this case, for example, the fulfilling order is the business process, right? This is the cross-functional process, fulfill order. And then you can create that functional decomposition that fulfilling order, includes preparing the catalog, taking the order, and shipping the order. These are various processes or sub-processes that are part of fulfilling order. And then you can further create those sub-processes, like taking order means receiving order, update the customer information, approving the payment. Similarly, shipping requires packing and shipping the items. So you can use the functional decomposition in a different sense, which is called process architecture model. And the next thing is then the value chain. It is all about discovering the high level requirement, right? So why are we performing these processes? These processes are being performed to fulfill some business need, right? And therefore, we need to also look sideways to the customer, okay? Ultimately, the organization performs various processes, and all these processes somehow are performed to create a value to the customer. Okay, so the cross-functional value processes or value chain is all about identifying how the organization's unit are creating that value to the customer. So this is all about cross-functional processes. So you have this organization, and these are the verticals of the organization, like marketing, customer support, customer service or sales department, inventory management, shipping, accounting. And you could have the processes that are using these functions, these capabilities. Functions are nothing but capabilities. So you have like fulfill order, which uses all these functions. A return process does not use marketing function, but it uses all other functions, right? Similarly, you have managing the product, managing the change in the product. And let's say that uses only marketing and inventory management and accounting, right? So three functions. So we can actually discover which departments are involved in creating value to our customer through certain services. Okay. So we can do that while we are either eliciting requirements, or we are doing the strategy analysis, or we are, we are managing those requirements. So this is the high level depiction of the processes overlaying on our organization. Okay. Once we have done this, we need to detail these requirements, and for detailing you can have a matrix. So this is a cross-functional value chain matrix. So you have these processes like fulfill order, process return, manage products. These are the three processes that we have chosen as an example. And then you have these organizational functions like marketing, sales function, inventory management, shipping, accounting, right? So these, remember from this one, so we have taken these three processes and these functions. Now we will have to define what these departments do. And this is the next level of detail for the process. For fulfilling order, what the marketing function does, what the sales function does, right? What inventory management will do, what shipping will do, what accounting will do, right? And here we can also actually identify certain things which are missing. So for example, in return process, you have seen that, return process has inventory management as well. But when you elicit the requirements, let's say nothing was given. What process inventory management performed? That process was, you could not elicit that information. It means that this is the gap, right? So this is used to validate the cross-functional processes, and this also actually goes to the next level where we elicit the requirement of what each department or each function will be doing. Okay. So this is how we can perform the business analysis. And then following that, we need to then detail these processes, and remember the processes have some trigger. Oftentimes it is the improvement that is the trigger, and improvement could be in terms of efficiency of the processes, or it could be in terms of the quality of the processes. It could be anything. So therefore, then we will have to further detail these process related requirements and identify, analyze what need to be done to really fulfill that strategic or technical need. So then you could have a very popular technique called swim lane, and you could have other techniques as well. Actually, you can have the activity diagram or any other techniques, but for example, I am just showing the swim lane technique, which is very powerful. Swim lane is powerful because this includes the process and data together. Okay, other techniques do not have the data related information, and process without data is sort of incomplete actually. So in this technique, first of all, the benefit is that you have actually identified sub processes in your previous chart. So let me take you the previous one again, right? So like you have a fulfill order. Now fulfill order has these processes that need to be performed. So all these processes need to be performed. And what it does is those sub processes can be depicted over here. So for example, here it is creating mortgage. This is the process. This is the value chain. And these are the sub processes actually under this. Creating mortgage requires three processes. receiving application, verifying credits, and producing the loan, right? So these are the processes. And then you have the mortgage sales, your verification, underwriting, and loan production. These are the stakeholders, right? These are the stakeholders. And from where they are coming? They are coming actually from this top line, like marketing, sales, inventory management, shipping, accounting, right? So those can come over here. Those are the actors. And then, we can detail the requirements for the processes, like receiving an application. Yeah. So it start at high level for processes. It start at high level. So this has the notation, and start and end. These oval are the notations for that. A rectangle with two parallel line means it is a process. So there is a further process for taking application. There is a process for taking the application, loan application, and mortgage sales is responsible for that. A rectangle without those parallel lines is an activity step. So this is a step like root application for verification. And parallelogram here shows the information, the data. So mortgage application. Mortgage application is given to verification team. This is an important component actually. So if you see, when two actors working together, they require some information, the data. And this is a great technique because it actually describes how what information will be exchanged to another department so that they can work. Without any input, no process can work. So process must have an input. If the process is working without an input, it is a magic, right? No process can work without any input. And process need to create an output. If the output is not created, it means it is a black hole. It can take all the information but doesn't create anything, right? Also, if the input is not related to the output that the process is producing, it means it is a gray hole. You don't know how that input is used because the output that is produced is not anywhere related with the input that is received, right? So therefore we need to also see that. So this input, which is called a handoff to this process, is an extremely important component. This gives you the data, the requirement for the data. This actually an useful information. So like here, mortgage application comes to the verification team, and then they start with next set of processes called verifying credit, which has three processes like checking the credit, verifying the employment of the individual, and appraising the property. These three processes need to be completed before anything happens. And then actually they provide the application that they had received and also the verification information to the underwriting team who can underwrite the loan. So there is a process for underwriting the loan. And then the loan approval is given to the loan production department. They prepare the title work, close the loan, and this ends. Here you can also write actually the time. So this is the cumulative time, for example. So you can write actually on the bottom. So a lot of information can be put in this. So first thing is, identify the happy path. Here there is no exception, right? Nothing went wrong. Everything was okay, right? So this is the happy path. Then the second thing is, then we will have to actually figure out what are those alternate paths, what can go wrong. And if something goes wrong, how can the process work efficiently? Process should not break. If you want to make the processes accountable, they should not break. It means that people should be clear if something happens, actually what they need to do. Okay. So for example, let's say, approval is given, the loan approval is given. If the approval is not given, so then there has to be a diamond over here, which is a decision box, which says that approved or not approved. If the loan is not approved, then there has to be a process for rejecting that application. It means that you might have to maintain certain records about this applicant, and you need to also inform that applicant and make some history for them, and the process ends over here. If the loan is approved, then actually the remaining thing continues. So therefore, as part of the process design, first design this, and then actually for everything where you see that there is an alternate path or there are many alternate paths, put one diamond. The one output of the diamond will continue to be the existing happy path. The other one actually will be the alternate path. So what do you do when something fails? Okay. So these techniques can help us getting those requirements, clearly. And here you see those people who know the BABOK too. The requirements analysis used to be a knowledge area in BABOK too, and it has become requirements analysis and design definition. And the reason is that as you are defining these requirements, you see that you are also doing some design work. You're designing your processes. Okay. So therefore, this is the scope of our new knowledge area called requirements analysis and design definition. What business analysts to do and how this is done in the context of the processes. And once we have done this, we have done the alternate path, then is the time to detail these processes. So like you could have the taking application process, and then it is the time for actually identifying the detailed activity steps which are required to complete this particular process. So all these things need to be detailed. So further detailing the requirements for the processes. Okay. So that's one way of performing the business analysis in a step-by-step manner for the processes. And the key skills for this is first one is root cause analysis. As I told, that business process management always requires a trigger. Okay, so always requires a trigger, and for that trigger, if it is a problem, it root cause analysis. Root cause analysis basically you see the root cause of the effect that you are seeing because of the business processes. So that effect then need to be analyzed, and then the same process analysis work will happen for each of the root cause why it is happening, right? So root cause analysis is a key skills. Facilitation, so stakeholders are nothing but processes and information. Stakeholders actually perform the processes, and when you are modifying the processes, we are also touching the life of our stakeholders, how they perform the work, and you are actually impacting that work. And therefore there could be gaps in understanding of the goals. There could be the conflict between the goals of individuals, conflict between the goal of individuals and organization. And therefore, for process management, business analysts need to have very strong facilitation skills. Okay. Business analysts also need to be very strong in risk analysis. So what is the risk, and what is the probability of this risk is occurring? What is the impact of the risk, and what actions need to be taken to avoid this risk, mitigate the risk, transfer the risk, or accept it as it is. So need to have those risk response. So risk analysis, another key skills. Business process modeling, I cannot overemphasize emphasize this is the key skill that is needed, of course. Also the business rule analysis. Business rules need to be followed by everyone. Business rules cannot be violated, and therefore those business rules need to be analyzed and see how the processes can be made accountable so that the business rules are followed, right? So business rule analysis, process performance measurement. Oftentimes actually the trigger for business process management arises because of the performance, making the processes simpler, making the processes more efficient, making the processes robust. So therefore, business performance measurement. Process performance assessment, the assessment of the performance of the as-is processes and as well as to-be processes. So process performance assessment and decision analysis. which is a good BA technique, decision analysis, is the ability of a business analyst analyzing the decision, how the decisions are made, what is the implication of the decision, right? So those techniques, those are the key skills. And there are various BPM techniques that can be actually clubbed together in this. So there are Six Sigma, there is Lean, and there are, so all these techniques can be clubbed together while we are performing the business analysis work. We will not go in this webinar in detail of all those techniques, and the reason is that we wanted to understand actually how the business analysis is performed in the BPM initiative, rather than understanding those techniques. So these are the key skills. So that's what actually I wanted to share today. It's all about the BPM perspective, the task in the context of BPM, the Business Process Management Initiative, the business analysis work in BPM initiative, the role of business analyst in the context of BPM, the techniques, and that step-by-step process that we can perform while analyzing those processes and designing the processes. Also, the key skills that BAs need to possess while working on business process management initiatives, right? So that's all I wanted to cover for today evening, and I will be happy to take any questions that you have. You can type on your chat window. I will be happy to take those questions and respond to them. Okay, any question? Okay, so I have a question from Jacob. Business process management is covered under which knowledge area? So as I was describing, the one of the very welcome addition in BOK 3 is basically the perspective. It is not about what tasks need to be performed. It is all about how the business analysis will be performed in a certain situation. So if the situation is business process management, then actually everything that is there in the business analysis need to be performed, from business analysis planning and monitoring to the solution evaluation. Everything need to be performed, and there is no particular knowledge area for business process management. You need to plan for the business process management initiatives. The requirements need to be elicited, so elicitation and collaboration need to be done. And you remember in the first few slides I covered that actually what techniques can be used for eliciting the requirements for business process management. Need to analyze, need to do that strategy analysis, means what is the problem or an opportunity that we are addressing through this particular initiative. Requirements analysis, design. So everything actually is applicable for business process management initiative, all the knowledge areas. There is no specific knowledge area or no specific techniques. There are multiple techniques, as I described, they are applicable over here. I have another question from Pritinder, and the question is, in preview of business analyst, does BPM include level 1 to level 4 processes, or there are some boundaries defined? Well, I don't know what you mean by preview of business analyst. Oh, it is purview of business analyst. Yeah, Pritinder, actually for purview of the business analyst, It is all about related to the business need, right? What is the problem or an opportunity? And based on that particular business need, you will see at what level you need to get involved as far as the processes are concerned. It could be level 1 and it could be level 4. It could be anything in between actually. Like level 1 is your value chain, and level 4 are the work instructions that are happening, right? So it could be anything in between. Um, I have a question from Kiran. You said swim lanes only will have the data as well as flow details also. None of the others will provide these many details. Can you compare with flow charts and explain the same? Kiran, flowchart basically depicts the flow of the flow of the activities. What activity will be done? What is the next activity? How the workflow happens actually. That's what will be described in the flowchart. And it typically does not describe the actors that are involved at various stages. And because the actors are not there, actually it fails to also describe very clearly what is the data that is being exchanged. You can still model the messages in flowchart, but you see it is difficult to manage to model the stakeholders or the actors, and hence that is less powerful than the swim lane. Difference between BPM and business process modeling notation. So Ganesh, business process management, as I had said, it is a management discipline. And as any management discipline, it has several tools and tasks and activities that are involved to manage the processes, means manage the change in the processes. BPMN stands for Business Process Modeling Notation. So this is a notation. This is all about this is all about collection of various symbols that are used to model a process, document a process, so that everyone can understand them the same way. So it is all about actually syntax and semantic of modeling the business processes. Yeah, so there are two different things. Pritinder says L1 is more on a strategic level like value stream. That is correct actually. That's correct. Could you please provide some examples of triggers that discover the BPM like business case? There are many triggers for business processes, and let me list a few of the triggers. Your trigger could be actually that the output that is being produced of the business process is faulty. So you are getting the defect. The defect could be one trigger. And then you can see actually where the defect is injected in the process and what corrective actions can be taken. Could be one. The other one could be actually you are defining, let's say, the workload in a department or an organization. You would like to see what is the performance of the business processes. And you will find that whenever there is a handoff, there is often a lag. So you would like to see those optimization points and see how the processes can be optimized so that the organizational performance is optimal. You could also have a reason for looking at the processes when there is a merger or acquisition of the organization happening, right? You could have the inefficiencies in the processes. So therefore that could be there. You could have technology context to this actually. For example, let's say sometimes back, Meru used to be booked only on the website. So when you book a cab on the website, you have certain process, right, where you provide some data and book that process, book your cab. Now there is a mobile app. So if you are using that particular app, this is a different process altogether. Okay, so there are various triggers that are that basically initiate the business process management uh, activities. Is identifying business capabilities always a prerequisite for BPM in level 4? Identifying business capabilities, no, may not be actually. may not be a prerequisite at level 4. For example, you could have the business rules, and business rules need to be followed all the time, and therefore you will have a level 4 process which can be followed by everyone. So the processes uh, could uh, could actually have the trigger coming from that. For processes to be observed, you always require capabilities. You cannot have a business process actually without capability, and this capability could be in terms of people, in terms of departments, or the capability could be in terms of a system. So capability is nothing but some set of either systems, processes, or people. So you do require some capabilities for any processes actually. It doesn't matter whether it is level 4 or level 1. Can you throw few cents on the education of these notations in a very basic workshop? Because sometimes the stakeholders in my projects are technophobic. Amutan, there are very simple trainings that are available to understand the notations. Understanding the notation is not a problem. The problem comes actually when you design the processes. That is a more trickier subject, and depends on what type of education that you are looking for. If your objective is just for the communication with the stakeholder, there are many workshops that are available, and please get in touch with me offline. Actually, I will be able to provide some more information, or I will be able to help you. Actually, my email address and phone number is on the screen. Please feel free to discuss with me. Otherwise, there are many ways of obtaining this knowledge. Okay, how many PDUs do I earn with these webinars? You will earn one PDU. Pritinder, for the PDUs, there is no need for any assignment. That assignment is not needed. And only chapter members can get these PDUs. So if you are a chapter member, you will get the PDUs. Okay, great. So Pritinder is a chapter member, and he will get the PDUs. Okay, any other question? Okay, great. Then thank you so much for attending the webinar and providing me this opportunity to interact with you, and look forward to hosting you in another webinar. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.